And good morning. It's a beautiful day, and this is the next episode of the Vision Alignment Show with Brian Wagner, your special host. And I wanted to come to you today and talk to you a little bit about what we have going on. So right now, there is a lot going on with a radical vision, as you might imagine. You know, with the world beginning to open more up, that's been great, but in order for us to understand what that means, you can't really describe it in one word, but it's been good. So working on our speeches to make them better and to have a bigger impact on the right people in our world. So there's just a lot going on. So for me, I've told you my story before, and I know you've heard this, but I'm going to tell you more about it. So there's more coming that you didn't know about, and when it comes to me and my radical vision. So listen up, and hopefully we'll get to learn more as we go on. Thanks a lot. And if you like what you heard so far, stay right there. Bye. And welcome back. This is so good to have you here. I appreciate you all. And just before we get started, I want to make sure you share this video out with as many people as you can think of. I really appreciate you doing that and making this community larger. And then always put a picture in your timeline of you winking. And if you do that, you're going to win a free copy, a free signed copy of my book, Sometimes It Does Take a Brain Surgeon. So look forward to that. There's more to come on that as we continue to grow. So I'm working on a new book, and that'll be coming out here. I'm not sure when it'll come out, but we're definitely going to be working on it soon. So having said that, there's also, I want to make sure that, what else did I say? So we talked about sharing the video out. We talked about winking. So when you wink and you put that picture in your timeline, make sure that you post or tag me on that picture, and then put in a hashtag of Winking with Wagner and a hashtag of Brian with one eye. I would really appreciate that. And like I said, you'll be entered into the raffle for a book. Anyway, so that's that. Then there's also the website. So if you want to be part of the membership and get free videos and blog posts that I do every once in a while, go out to Brian with one eye, or sorry, don't go to Brian with one eye. That is a real website, but that's not the one I want you to go to. Go to brianwagner.live, and you can sign up for all of that if you would. That's for Radical Vision Insights. So that's what we have going on today, and we have that's from a notes perspective, or from a perspective of just getting some information out. Housekeeping, that's the word I'm looking for. Housekeeping. So what I want to do today is I want to start to walk through my story, and I'm going to read to you the speech that I have written, not the entire speech, but maybe 5 to 7 minutes of the speech. And it's going to help you to get a better understanding of who I am and what it is that I do. So here we go. What sets you apart? What about you is special? When I woke up on March 4th of 2011, I couldn't see. I stumbled on my way to the bathroom and flipped on the light switch. It was still dark. When I turned toward the mirror, I noticed a sliver of light. So the power was on. But my face was swollen and my eyes wouldn't open. I was blind. My wife heard the commotion and she came downstairs. There was a tone in her voice that I hope I'll never hear again. Brian, what happened? From the tone of her voice, she had a look on her face that I never wanted to see. As soon as we were able to, Connie took me to the emergency room. After hours and hours of waiting and test after test, the doctor came into my room. Mr. Wagner, your cab mal has bled, and it's doing damage to the nerves that control your vision. We're recommending that you have brain surgery. Wait a minute. I've always been told never let someone operate on my brainstem. That's right, unless there are no other options. The problems you're having are only going to become worse and more frequent. Worse and more frequent. Time out. From the time I was 10, I had issues with my brain. My hopes of being Bart Starr or Terry Bradshaw were dashed early on. After the third day of football camp, I blacked out. Since being diagnosed with a malformed blood vessel, a cab mal, in 1992, one thing every doctor agreed on was don't let someone operate on your brainstem. All the doctors told me to never let someone do that. The blood vessels were in a bad spot. At 10 years old, it's hard to believe. It's hard to have your dreams dashed so quickly. I remember going to my grandma's house. She asked how I was doing. I started to give her my sob story about, how I wouldn't be able to play football anymore. And she gave me some sage grandma advice. Life is going to turn out differently than you plan. Always be open to reimagining your life. Find what makes you unique and use it. So tell me, what's your earliest memory of who you wanted to be when you grew up? Back to the emergency room. So here I was in the ER, worse and more frequent. I was blind, and it was only going to get worse. There's only one specialist that you need to see, and he's in Phoenix. Are there times when there's just one person you need to turn to? Maybe it's a friend, a teacher, a spouse. Well, those are the words that I heard for the next 27 days. The only thing that would drown them out is the noise from my oldest son's iPod shuffle. He had all the greatest hits, from the Beatles to Pink Floyd and Jimi Hendrix. Then I was flown to Phoenix, Arizona, and on April 1st, no fooling, I had brain surgery. There was all this buildup, and then just like that, it was over. Actually, the same day that I had brain surgery, in the afternoon, I was walking the hall, Now, I did have a little curtain closure assistance from my brother. I mean, there's some things that nobody needs to see. Within 24 hours of having brain surgery, I was discharged from the hospital with a little bottle of extra strength Tylenol. In the moment, it seemed like forever. Looking back, it seemed to happen in the blink of an eye. Have you ever had something huge on the horizon that you're full of anxiety? Then, when the moment comes and goes, you'll wonder where it went. Obviously, my life turned out differently than I planned. When something tragic happens in our lives, it's really easy to get stuck in our own little world. Woe is me. It's a good thing there are encouragers all around. You see, I had a lot of encouragers as I was going through all this. As I mentioned, and I know not everybody has that, but as I mentioned, I've been surrounded by encouragers. When I returned from Phoenix, my wife encouraged me to go out for a walk. Now, I had no idea she was wanting me to go out and touch such treacherous terrain. That's a hard word. There were ledges to fall off on the right and ledges to fall off on the left, and there were these undulations. Undulations. Isn't that a great word? That would be dealt with. The undulations had to be dealt with. There were two important things to consider that would change my perspective on this. First, I had to admit that I was blind and take her hand. Secondly, if we walked down that sidewalk the other way, our perspective changed. One of my other encouragers was my daughter, Jess. That Father's Day, she wrote me a letter. It's very special to me, and I'd like to read it to you. Dear Dad, Happy Dad's Day. I hope you have a great day because you definitely deserve it. All the cards and TV commercials always say, my dad's the best. But they're all lying. You're the best ever. Sure, other people's dads are great. They're younger than you, and they're sportier, and they're funner. But you've got something that they don't have. Bravery. Even after everything you've been through, you still get out of bed in the morning. You still joke around. You still go out and play with us and cook on the grill, even though you only have half one good eye. But you do more still. You teach me that even though you go through the toughest, most grueling things, if you just believe that God is right there with you through everything, believe that everything turns out okay in the end, and believe that sometimes the only thing you can do is hope beyond hope, then maybe, just maybe, you'll make it out alive. Not always unscathed, but alive. And giving me that hope, that sense of belief, well, I'd take that over a dad with two good eyes any day. Love, 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 Jess. With all the doctors and all the procedures, all it took was my 13-year-old daughter to open my eyes. When's the last time you received a letter like that? I got a better question. When's the last time you wrote a letter like that? Who on your team needs to hear that letter? Who on your team, it could be your team at work, it could be your team at home, it could be your coach or mentor, well, whatever. But who needs to hear that letter from you? Who needs to get that letter from you? I want to leave you with that today. Who needs to hear your words? Write that letter now. I'm so thankful for you all being on here today. That is why I've used my my story, and that's why using my story is so important for us all to understand what it is that we can do to be better people, what it is that we can tell other people what they mean to us, and how important it is to really understand our value in the world and relay that value to someone else. And there's my good friend Mark on this morning. Good morning, Mark. How are you? It's good to see you. Awesome. Very cool. But that's it for today, Mark, and anybody else that's on the call. I appreciate all you all being on. This has been great. If there's ever anything that I can do for you, by all means, let me know. And as always, keep one eye on the road.